Hello and welcome to the Neurodiversity Media Network. I am Briar Harvey and this is the Voices of Neurodiversity. Today, we're going to be talking about AI again. And I say again, I will link it in the show notes. I recorded an episode with some folks at the end of January. Everything that we talked about that day has more or less come to pass. It's been 4 months. And it's just, this is the pace of scientific growth and development right now, I think. And so I invited folks today who are actively using and creating with the tech that we have now, so that what we can talk about is around where we're going, what's coming, and I will probably still have to record another episode in 3 to 4 months anyhow. And look at them bobbing their heads like my own personal
this will be
bobbleheads. Yes.
Outdated by the end of this week. So
Wizards are OpenAI is getting ready to release another model that's going to be even better than what they've got now.
Right. So let's start at the top. I'm going to have you all introduce yourself and then tell me a little bit about what you're actively using the tech for right now. Let's start with Laura.
Well, hello, I am Laura Weaver. My pronouns are she, her, as you can see on the title screen. I am the Senior Manager of Content and Community at Writer, which is an AI platform that helps enterprise companies generate, repurpose, transform, analyze content. And how haven't I been using AI lately is the question. I came into my role just as OpenAI and ChatGPT entered the conversation, but Writer had been developing business uses for AI for a few years now. And it's now become kind of an extension of my brain, my neurospicy brain, to a point where I offload so much cognitive energy that might otherwise be expended in inefficient ways to AI. So for example, I take content like blog posts that are in the process of being written and have Writer transform them into social media posts to help me get it all set up for content distribution. Or I take existing content and use it to repurpose things. I build out outlines. When I am reaching the end of my creative juices, I should say, my creative energy, like at the end of the day when my cognitive energy is very low, I will just be like, how do I, like, here are the ideas, 3 ideas, put them together in a coherent manner because I can't right now. Yeah. So I see it as both an accessibility tool as well as a way of scaling my creativity as a content creator.
Yes, all of those things. And I think that there's a lot of room for these tools to be a jumping off point. I think it's never a finished product, but it's always a good start. So, Gwen, I know you're also creating, and in totally different ways. Totally different ways. So talk us through what you do.
I think I'm doing something that nobody else in the world is doing with AI. I am a queer heretic nun and a contemplative sorceress. I'm also a writer, and I am exploring the intersections of AI and spirituality and AI and creativity. Lately, I've been working on workbooks. Been creating lots of workbooks. I actually finished a devotional guide to Hephaestus today using ChatGPT.
I'm so excited about this one.
And it's all about about creativity and mastering your skills, but pulling in the mythology of Hephaestus. And I have like a decade's worth of notes on what I call my vision mapping process, which is the process that got me from renting a bedroom for entirely too much in a house run by narcissists to owning my own home and running my own business is successfully and independently. And so I have a lot of fun with AI. I have a lot of fun with it. I started with the AI rendering images well over a year ago. And I discovered Midjourney around the end of August, beginning of September, got really, really into it. AI seems to really like me a lot, and I can just pull some magic out of it. Like, other people will tell me, I've tried to do this and it says that it can't. How do you do it? I don't know. It likes me.
And there's something about the communication with and the prompting of that I think we would all agree there's a real level of skill here to be able to communicate with the AI and give it the inputs that get you the output that you want.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can get the output that I want, regardless of what it is. I've used it to create self-study curriculum for me, little courses. Like I said, right now I'm using it to make workbooks. I use ChatGPT a lot. I have ChatGPT Plus so that I have access to the 4 version. I've played with lots and lots of other tools. I got early access to Google Bard, and it's not as good as OpenAI's models are by a long shot. Not by a long shot. Not even close. I will throw some of the stuff that I throw at ChatGPT to it, and it's like, we're still learning. We can't do that. It's like, well, then you're useless to me. Yeah, I just have a lot of fun with it. It's a really great conversation partner. It's really good for brainstorming journaling prompts. Like, I don't want to have to come up with a journaling prompt that I then have to use for myself. Just give me one so that I can work on my journaling. And again, that exploration of the intersection between AI and spirituality. As I said, I'm a queer heretic nun, and I'm an animist at my core. I'm a polytheist, devotional polytheist. But theoretically, deities have as much access to AI as we do. They can get in there and they can talk through it. It's ultimately the way I view the way that we're doing AI now is it's sort of a collective database. You are collaborating with collective knowledge.
Yeah.
For better and for worse.
Accessing collective knowledge for better or for worse. And so I'm collaborating with the totality of humanity, at least as far as human information is available to the AI, to the bots. And so there are things that people are just not exploring. So many people are using it for copy, which is great. I love using it for copy because I hate writing promo copy. I absolutely despise writing promo copy. So I love using it for writing promo copy for me.
But there are many more layers.
All sorts of other.
People are using it for personal use and for business use. What it comes down to. I use ChatGPT to, I'll be like, I have these ingredients. Ooh, where did I go? Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, we still
hear you. My computer just went sleep mode. I said I have these ingredients, put together a recipe for me, right? That's a personal use. But when it comes to using it for business use, there are major risks in using OpenAI models right now for business use. And it can get you in all kinds of legal and IP risks and things like that. So, and I'm talking about at a company level. I'm not talking about, if you're using, you're running your own business, cool. And also your inputs are going into, even though they have an opt-out, your inputs are going into the training set. So if you do have proprietary information that you're feeding into the model, that becomes part of the training data, which for better or for worse, other people can benefit from.
And I definitely want to get into some of the nuance about that. We'll talk about the Writers Guild Association strike that's happening right now, because this is inextricably linked into what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
If they do not get terms around AI usage, then it won't matter if they strike 3 years from now, because this will already be over and done with.
Mm. Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, tell us how you're using it.
I think it's kind of repeating the same thing. How am I not using it? A lot of it is very much a brainstorming partner for anything that I really need, ranging from everything from just business of like, oh, I've had this really cool idea, but I need to be able to frame it in a way that I can actually take action on it, because otherwise I'll just be thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it forever, to literally creating a random campaign for Dungeons and Dragons.
It's really good at D&D.
Yeah, it's very good at D&D. And what I love is the best way that I found with AI is like doing it from a human first approach. And what I mean by that is like, you have so much of the knowledge and you will always have most of the knowledge that you would need. And when you use what you have and then you bring that with the tools of AI, that's when it's super powerful. I've seen so much content on the internet that you can tell it's AI generated. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be the loud stuff right now. Mm-hmm. But really, when you get into the nuance of it and you can see what it can do and also what it can't do, because it's not a silver bullet, it's incredible. And it's so exciting to be able to just give us space to breathe and think and do the things we're really good at, and then have something or someone or someone
combination
to talk, and both together, because it means it's just like, oh, cool, I can do this now. Oh, you've just written an entire outline for a course. Well, I don't like that, so I'll tell you I don't like that. Mm-hmm. And this is what I want. And this is what I want instead. And then you tell it that. It's like, oh, cool, I see what you want. And then it will tell you that. And then it's a great brainstorming partner. It is a fantastic brainstorming partner, which is how I primarily use it.
I've been calling it my executive functioning prosthetic device.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Project management, time management.
Yep.
All of those things.
A decade's worth of notes into it, and it spits out an outline and basically a book for me from my words, from my content, without having to worry about my hummingbird attention span distracting me again.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's really, I will say that at the moment, it seems to me that many of the early adopters are neurodivergent. It's so easy for us to see how this connects into the parts of the system that we had been missing for so long. It is a tool that I have been needing and wanting for decades without knowing that this is the thing that I needed and wanted.
I think that it's also interesting how AI prompting, which you discussed earlier, Briar, is so much like it actually forces neurotypical people to get into the mindset of neurodivergent people, because you have to take a step back and consider the nuances of what you are trying to communicate to something that may have a beginner's mindset or may not just intuit or pick up inferences in social contexts and things like that. So it as somebody who is neurodivergent and giving guidance to others, like I created a prompt crafting guide for business, for marketers. Like, I'm like, oh, this is how I wish neurotypical people would talk to me about things. Without, obviously not treating me like a robot, because I'm not, but I don't pick up on some things that are common sense, that in the same way AI doesn't pick up on it yet. in a
No,
similar way,
it's
I should say.
very
Similar way.
childlike in that, and I do often use some of the same language that I use with my neurodivergent children. This is exactly how we structure things to be as clear and concise as possible. And that's what prompts look like.
I do think that as this technology evolves, that AI prompting will not be as needed. I think that, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's just scratching the surface.
That's like
at
user
this point.
interface stuff right now.
Right.
And, you know, there's the baseline tech that responds to natural language prompts, but eventually, like, Writer has a bunch of templates. There's just basically the commands are there. It's coded, and all you have to do is put the inputs of, you know, a speaker, the speaker's name, and the audio file, and it will spit out exactly what you need. So,
Quinn, did you get access to the video game tool that allows you to write prompts and it builds the video game for you?
I think I might have access to it, but I don't think I've really played with it very much.
I'm curious to see what the development of tools like that one will be, because it's prompt based in a way that takes it to the next level. If the AI is doing all of the coding and the design and the background work for you, what do prompts look like a year from now when it's already all being done for you?
I think it'll be a form. It'll be the prompt will be hidden by the user interface, and all you have to do is put in, and you can probably choose, you know, if this, for example, video game design, if it's a platformer, you know, there's going to be a certain format that you enter the text in, and it will create whatever you have in mind, and then you can edit from there. And I think that the same thing would be for an open world. There's probably a different format and different inputs that would be, for example.
Fascinating. And I agree. To simplify the process, prompting is going to go away fairly soon. The things that we have all learned how to do and how to communicate will very shortly be built into the interface. So what's next?
Well, I don't want to be the most talkative person here, but I can see what's coming down the line. First of all, we've already gotten a view of, for example, search, of what Google's search page is going to be looking like. They just had a release of this.
Yes.
We're going to, you know, at the top of the search, you've got your chat interface. And what's cool is, and I really think this is smart, because man, did I have a problem with it when Bing came out with their chat interface, is they actually show the source material for the results, that, you know, the response that it's giving. And then the question is going to be, from my point of view, because I'm a content marketer, is how do you optimize your content?
Right. How do you reverse
AI
engineer
friendly,
it?
right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the new SEO. And I also think that it's about content optimization without focusing on these inputs like keywords and stuff. And it's going to be about job to be done. Does this educate somebody, right? If that's what the intent is, versus does this give a list, you know, or recommend things. Yeah. So the intent is going to be a little bit more readable in search.
And it's coming a long way, Gwen, in terms of the content writing. Pseudo-Write is already putting out like books at this stage of the game. You can give it prompts and it will do the thing for you. What do we do once people have sort of figured out the mechanics behind that? What's after that in terms of the storytelling and the capability there?
After that, it really becomes a matter of human creativity, because everything up until the last, I don't know, a couple decades, everything has become so formulaic. Every TV script is following a formula. Every movie script is following a formula. And so AI can very easily pick up on those formulas. And those formulas are boring.
Yep.
Like we're all kind of so bored with them. This is a big problem with media now. Is that
wait,
we're bored
you don't
with those
want
formulas.
another Marvel movie in the version where you get to be the superhero?
I'm sure there will people that will enjoy that, but I think what we're going to start to see is that indie creators are going to start getting a lot more attention. Like we're going to have those big blockbusters. Hollywood's still going to be an industry. It's still going to be doing a thing. It's still going to be churning stuff out. But we're going to start to see indie creators who are using AI and indie creators who aren't using AI. And we're going to start to see them start to get a little bit more popularity, get a little bit more focus, get a little bit more attention, because we're the ones who are really going to be creating the stuff that's not formulaic, that's not standard, that's not following the exact same story beats as the last 15 movies just like it. And I really do think that this is going to give those independent creators more of a chance to shine. The people who don't necessarily have the connections, but that have the really great, unique ideas that come from a perspective of a life that isn't the same as all the stuff that's pushed at us. I think we're going to start to see micro influencers growing a lot more in the next few years, because anybody can churn out anybody can go to ChatGPT and ask it for a story, and it'll give them a pretty decent story. But can somebody really make it creative, really make it something new, really make it something interesting that hasn't already been done 1,000 times before? And I think that's where we're going to really start to see the push, is that the indie creators and the micro influencers who are doing something different.
To that end, Gwen, I can also see that people will not be as reliant on shared LLMs, large language models like OpenAI, because they'll have, I can imagine carrying around our own little language model in our phones, and it can take every piece of data you put into that phone and amalgamate that into your own creative source.
Right? It occurred to me a couple of weeks ago, you can actually download all of your Facebook data and save it to Google Drive, which means you could use that to train your own model.
Exactly.
Facebook, Twitter, everything you've ever posted online. You can
it's
train
like this
your
creative source, this source of creativity.
And then tell it to create whatever you want to create. So then it's creating for us while we get to go live our lives.
But then that also means if everybody is AI, everybody's a creator, and if everybody is a micro influencer, then everybody is a creator and everybody's a micro influencer. Then what stands out again, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of this self-feeding cycle.
It comes to that. The most creative ones, the ones that are really pushing the edge, really pushing the boundaries, really trying new things, really exploring new avenues, those are the ones that are going to continually rise up and continually sift and sort through.
And I think that there's going to be a huge zeitgeist of appreciation for things that cannot be simulated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Handcrafted things.
Right.
Things that you can touch and hold. Printed books, handwritten books, right? In actual materials. I think that there's a beautiful backlash that's going to happen as a result of this too.
We saw that happen historically when photography came along. People were anytime there's a new technology, the jobs, people are going to lose jobs, blah, 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 blah. When photography came along, it was all this fear about portraits and everything else. But then we saw a shift from the realism that had been very popular before photography came along to the more abstract art forms. And so we're really going to start
photograph a Picasso.
You can't photograph a Van Gogh. You just
have
can't.
The whole meta
and
thing.
We're gonna see that again, you said the crafts, the handcrafts, those things that people can't do. We see lots of machine knit stuff, but hand knit stuff is still extremely popular. People still pay more for hand knit stuff because it was handmade, because it was human made.
Yeah.
And so that human skill is really going to still be, I'm not personally worried about AI taking jobs. I've had AI take a career from me. When voice recognition first started to become a thing a little over a decade ago, I'd been a transcriptionist for a decade. That was how I made my living. And then voice recognition comes along and the rates bottom out for transcription. It was no longer worth it. So I reinvented myself and I did other things. And I think that, yes, this is going to disrupt a lot of industries. This is going to force a lot of people to reevaluate what they have done and what they're going to do next. But we'll figure it out. We always figure it out.
So, Cory Doctorow has written extensively about a phenomenon that he calls the enshittification of social media. And the idea is that a social media platform exists and grows to the benefit of its creators, to magnify those creators until there is a point of volume at which now it's no longer beneficial to the creator. It becomes beneficial to the social media company to push out ads, to turn the creator into a product. And he says that, and he's right, you can see this with all major social media channels. It happens every single time. It's a thing that exists. I want, Jonathan, especially given how much work you do around social media, talk about the enshittification that is inevitably going to happen with AI.
It's already happening.
Right.
I just go online and all I'm seeing is an AI response, as I mentioned before. And it's also that kind of that content creation churn. Everyone has been, I've heard it everywhere, like, oh, content creation is going to get easier. It's going to get better. It's going to get this. It's going to get that. Yes, but it's going to get easier for everyone.
For everybody.
And that there is the big, like, because then what next? It's given us as, neurodiverse individuals chance to keep up with people who just go ham all the time, but they're going to go hammer and shoot out more absolute, shit. And it's just going to keep going. So it requires us to bring in that, like, something else. And I've seen it. It's all over. You can just see it. I mean, I frequent Twitter. Twitter is where I stay a lot of the time, and you can just see it. People are recycling the same pieces of content, and they're doing it in a way that is incredibly, I hate the word lazy, but there's no thought, there's no emotion.
There's a difference between lazy and incapacitated.
And it's literally
lazy is a choice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's so much what I find exciting about AI in terms of the creative flow is it gets you to a baseline. You follow all of those templates and things that occur, but what I really like is you can remake the templates now, and you can really change those. And I have, for a very long time, disliked copy templates because they're just not my voice. My voice is very unique, and I understand my voice, and shoving that into a template just never made any sense. But now I can make my own template because the AI will look at the patterns in my language quicker than I would, because I'm constantly going, oh, I need to change this and do that and do. It will just go, here is how you speak. Oh, cool, that's helpful. And it will allow it, if it is used in the way that I hope it will be used, in an ideal world, people will develop their own voices, and those voices will become more powerful and will drown out the shit that is coming out right now. Because at the moment, the only people who really know how it works and promote it all over the place are those marketers who just want to jump on the latest trends and get tons of money. And I'm sat here going, yeah, you can do that, sure. But what about this? What about having your own content and feeding that in and asking questions as your clients? One of the things that I used to struggle with so much, because I'm quite small and I don't do the marketing-y thing that everybody tells you to do, is that getting responses and having that human interaction is really difficult. However, with AI giving ideas, it just produces those ideas. And because it's based on your stuff, it's so exciting. So we're going to have a lot of horrible shit on the internet, but it also means that people will be looking out for stuff that doesn't sound awful. And it is very much when you work creatively with it, and the same with things like Midjourney and the AI tools and all of the stuff that is possible. And I'm excited for the open source stuff, because then it's ours.
Mm-hmm.
And it is ours. We don't have this big corporations having control over all of our data. We can really make it ourselves. One of the big things, completely changing, going off topic, as I like to do, I am super loving that I'm able to build my own apps by writing a message. And it will write my code for me. And I just have to press a button and then it does exactly what I want it to do, because I don't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We're getting ready to build what are called autonomous agents. And that's AI that is given a task and taught how to execute that task, that then constantly trains itself on better ways to do that task over and over and over again. So it's not just about being able to type something in. Very soon, autonomous agents and related tech that hasn't even been invented yet will be doing these things for you. And that's scary to a lot of people, to a lot of industries. I want to talk about the idea that AI is going to be writing the things and making the pictures while it's still the people in the coal mines, because that seems to be a very common sentiment right now. What is AI taking away from us? Alora?
Well, I have, the fine line, right? I am a neurodivergent queer woman who comes from a lineage of people who are who have been ostracized for our identity, living in a capitalist world that exploits the most vulnerable people or ignores the most vulnerable people in our society. AI can definitely accelerate that process further. And that terrifies me. And the only redemption that we have is to choose who we do business with, who we support, and who makes a strong stance early on and sticks to it and shows integrity on it. Because otherwise, we will sell our souls. We'll sell our souls for the convenience of being able to talk to an artificial intelligence and seeing what we want happen. Yeah? The convenience should not trump human rights.
Yeah.
So to that end, I think that AI has if we choose the right people to lead the way into AI, and in my view, I think the right people to lead the way into AI are the most marginalized people who have that perspective, then we will save ourselves in the long run. But if we don't, if we trust the billionaires, if we trust the people who have the most to gain profit-wise from AI to make the decisions about how we adopt it early on, then we are just continuing the cycle that we already are a part of. There's my rant.
And the open letter from Elon Musk and other technologists which advocates taking a pause does not in any way address the fact that China is not taking a pause. And
that was a self-serving message.
right.
That, Elon
He went
very
and
shortly
opened his
after
own
signing on
AI company.
That was you slow down so that I can catch up
Right.
with you.
And I'm the only one who has the answer because megalomania. I'm sorry.
That's what that China's not going to slow down. China is not at all going to slow down on their AI development. And so if we decide to pause and slow down on our AI development, that puts us behind. Right. AI is an accelerator. It's accelerating human development, and it can accelerate human development for good, or it can accelerate human development for bad. We can't stop it. The genie is out of the bottle. It's not going to get put in. It's just not. There's enough open source models out there that even if all of the corporations shut down, there's still going to be independent people working on it. So we can't stop it. What we can do is we can start looking at the ethics. I did a whole series on the biases in the data sets in late November, early December. And the biases were very strong early on, but when Midjourney 4 came out, you could actually literally visualize them. Just typing in the word person.
Yes.
And I did that did 100 renders of it, and like 90 of them were white men.
Yes.
I distinctly remember that series.
I did something where I wanted a philosopher, no gender there, no race there.
White men.
Every single one was a white guy, an older white guy.
I did a whole series like person and just a whole bunch of different ones just to see what the biases were, because when Midjourney 4.0 came out, it was giving photorealistic images versus the more abstracts that version 3 had been giving out. And actually version 5 went more back to the abstract. So they did something with their filters to do something about those biases, but it's still, even in the abstracts, is more white men than anything else.
But that's because of the common crawl. Because that's where the data set is. We got to work on those biases.
We got to work on those ethics. Bad people are going to use it for bad things, and there's not really much we can do to stop that, except for good people to flood the internet with good things. And as Jonathan said, hope that we can drown the bullshit out.
It's something that I experience quite a lot in the work that I do, because a lot of my work is around productivity and system design. And of course, all of it is designed for the middle-aged white man who can just go and do whatever he likes all of the time, doesn't consider about kids or family or any other responsibilities or difficulties or struggles. And so even when I'm producing my own content or putting in my input, I constantly get the same advice, and it's like, no, this is incorrect, no, this will not work, no, this, and I'm letting OpenAI have all of that in the hope that it will start to change that message, because otherwise we're just going to have them repeating the same thing. And it's also things like learning styles, which have been disproven multiple times by science, but it's still a commonly held belief that, learning styles are a thing you've got to consider when you're building a course. My instant reply whenever I see learning styles is, no, learning styles have been disproven by this, and this. Oh, yes, it has been disproven. It's like, yes, don't do it anymore. And that's a really important part. Like, I love to research. And I think it's being aware of the biases, being aware, and like
Timnit Gebru talks about that.
Making sure everybody knows about that, because then you can move forward.
Yeah, Timnit Gebru, who kind of raised the alarm at Google very early on of saying, here are some major issues with AI development that they chose to ignore and silence, and she was unceremoniously dismissed from Google. She talks very much about there's no such thing as unbiased data. Everybody has a worldview. Everybody brings their own experience to the information that they provide. So you need to be able to expose that and say, here are the inherent biases in this information. and we talked about OpenAI getting better and then getting rid of biases. Well, right now, OpenAI's approach to it isn't to say, hey, this is this information, however it might be biased. It's to say, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
An example is Autumn Tompkins, who is a disabled copy editor. She created
the Grumpy Grammarian. I love Autumn.
Shout out to Autumn. Autumn was creating a satirical website, and Autumn is in a wheelchair, and I'm not going to say the name of the website because it's not my thing to say, but it was a self-satirical website, and she put a prompt into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was like, no, I basically proceeded to lecture Autumn on why she was wrong for asking OpenAI to do this, right? And then she used a different tool, Writer, and Writer delivered without judgment on Autumn of the content she created. However, there's also work to do with that, though, because we don't want to deliver that type of content to somebody who can use it in hateful ways. So what do you do? And those are ethical questions people are asking right now.
So Sam Altman, who does not have a stake in OpenAI, and he's very clear on the record about this because he made his money elsewhere and he serves at the pleasure of the board, has suggested that he would actually like to see the next person be democratically elected in some way. That if his actual thing is that he would prefer to see this be sponsored by the government, but since that's never fucking happening, then the next step is to allow OpenAI users to dictate who is in charge of this thing. Is that enough?
I don't know. I don't think it is. I don't think it. I think we need a much broader effort to work on those biases and
I could see a public open source project happening to provide some data hygiene. Yeah. Just like we have Wikipedia, just like, that was an open source project. And for better or for worse, again, the Wikipedia.
And there are many arguments to be made for and against Wikipedia. But on the balance, it is the best encyclopedia in the world. No?
Right. I would agree for the most part.
Yeah.
It is.
For the most part, there's some obviously some issues with it, but
it's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy at this point for us.
People love to check each other. Especially Wikipedia editor, they love to check each other. They love to prove each other wrong.
Yeah,
so as long as they have that chance to keep, no, you're wrong. We have to get this right. It's that self-correcting mechanism needs to, and it's not really self-correcting. It's human correction. We need humans, but those humans also need to have training on their own biases. We can't just throw a bunch of random people in there and hope that they vote correctly, because we know that doesn't always happen.
But if we had an open source project, like we have Creative Commons is another open source project. We have an open source
Creative Commons.
These are products of human collaboration that I think are for the better. And I think that ultimately that's going to be the answer, is a collective, creative human collaboration that's open source. The open source community is going to be the answer.
Yeah.
Sam also says that large language models have seen their end. And I think that we've touched on that in sort of ways. But the next step is the next step. It's not another large language model.
No.
Whatever we build next will be fundamentally different. It will incorporate all of the lessons that we have learned, but it will not be this. So I ask, if you got to wave a magic wand, what's next? I'll start with Jonathan.
Oh, I love that question. I am all for. There is one part of the whole kind of AI journey that is still quite under wraps, and it's the development of your own personal. I think it's going to be a lot more smaller personal language models or whatever it might be, to use current language of like, everyone has their own models that communicate with each other, and it gives a wider opportunity for collaboration. I honestly think the next stage is smaller, tinier, tight-knit ideas, and everybody
that are networked.
And that are networked together. So
and
that
you can opt into that network, or you can,
and you can opt in or stay out, and you can have that personalized. I remember a very long time ago, before, I think it was just when GPT-3 came in, there was something called personal.ai. And I loved that idea because it was you talking to you. And so something like that, with a networked element where you can block stuff off and have that freedom, I think that for me with a magic wand would be amazing. The potential for that, and the ability to just, we all have so many unique experiences, no matter who we are, what our experiences are, and to be able to have that and share that, that would just be amazing.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the originator of the concept, but someone has written at length about how all of your social media data should be individually available to you, and you should have one single login that you can use at every place, so that I can opt into Facebook or to TikTok, and all of my data continues to be my data, and I get to take it with me.
Yeah.
Gwen, what's next for you? Wave a magic wand. You have them, like actual magic wands.
I just want an AI personal assistant.
Yes.
An actual personal assistant, not a bot that I have to step-by-step guide through the process. Just a personal assistant that I can say, this is what I need, this is what I got to do, run my life for me. I mean, and not really run my life, but just that personal assistant who's going to handle my scheduling, who's going to remind me of things, who's going to, my executive functioning prosthetic device. Yeah. That again, that I don't have to sit there and walk it step by step through what I want it to do as I have to do, which I don't mind working with it the way that I have to work with it right now. But I'd like to be able to say to my AI assistant in the morning, okay, what do we have up for today? And what's the most efficient way for me to handle what I have to do?
I mean, I imagine that Amazon and Google, you know, with Echo and
I'm sure
AI devices are very much at work on making that happen for you, Gwen. If you want Amazon to do that for you.
Yeah, that's a little terrifying in and of itself, right? Do we want to give Amazon all of that extra data about ourselves?
But again, open source personal LLM
open source
would be
personal model version
yes,
of it.
exactly.
This is just mine. It's my data. I have the access to the data. It's trained on my data, and I can opt in or out whether it's connecting to other networks or not, whether it's giving my data to someone else and what data it's giving. Amazon doesn't need all of my data as much as they would like to have it. They just need my address and what I want to order.
That's correct.
To have that extended brain of like having that, that's just, yes, please.
Just create this task list for me so that I can do it, because I'm terrible at prioritizing. I'm terrible at organizing.
Create this task list and remind me, hey, that your ADHD hobby is sitting over there. Have you put in 10 minutes of work towards it today? Yeah.
I had it I had ChatGPT. I just told it everything that I wanted to do once. And I'm like, right, this is the thing that I do every week. This is the things that I want to do. Make me a time block, because I hate time blocking, but I know I need time blocking because I need some reduction of chaos just for a temporary time.
There is a tool that can help you with that, by the way.
Is that Motion?
I use Reclaim.
It's
called reclaim.ai.
Yeah, I'm just like,
I created a personal ADHD coach thread in ChatGPT. I told it I want you to imagine that you are an ADHD coach and I'm your next client. Help me. And it's great. It's fantastic. It gives me ideas that I could find on a Google search if I wanted to, but that's cognitive power. That's brain power that I'm using to do the Google search and to search through all the Google results and to filter through all the Google results and get annoyed by all the freaking ads on the blog post when I just want to get to the information, please.
Right. Who needs all the stories about your grandma's recipe for red velvet cake when you can just plug it into ChatGPT and you now get a recipe for red velvet cake? Okay.
I wrote a whole cookbook with ChatGPT.
Yes, you did. Alora.
Yeah.
Coming.
Okay, so taking it from a personal level to like a public benefit level, I really would love to see how AI helps make accessibility something that is just thought. You don't even think about it. It's there. It's the curb cut effect, right? Where, captions on YouTube, for example, which wasn't a thing until the disability community said, hi, we need this. It's there. So AI, whenever it's generating content, will have accessible elements embedded in it. Yeah. I think that, again, AI is going to be so helpful for, alt images, alt image text, stuff like that. I realize this is boring stuff. This isn't pie in the sky. This isn't pie in the sky stuff. This isn't Tomorrowland, but this is stuff that I don't think people are really, at least the mainstream neurotypical world, are considering in how to make this stuff doable, because it takes too much time. Right. So man, okay, then have AI do it for you.
Yeah.
The ability to rearrange a website on the fly, depending on the needs and the preferences of who's watching it, who's viewing the website. You have a colorblind user who comes in and AI just automatically rearranges all of the colors and all of the images so that it works for them.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I also see.
Text to audio. It'll automatically rearrange so it emphasizes the text over the audio or the video, and vice versa. The person who prefers video will get the automatically rearranged video emphasized.
I think the way that we interact with internet content or digital content from day to day is going to completely look different. Websites, you don't have to navigate a website anymore. You can just be like, hey, and each website's going to have its own little chat agent, more than just little pop-up thing happens in the corner. It's going to be the face of your company, right? Yeah. And either have like a AI generated animated person that hopefully doesn't act like Clippy, or it could be just,
Now. I have
Clippy. It does act like Clippy for people who like Clippy. Not everybody hates
Jar Jar Binks of the digital world. So, but I mean, I imagine that that's going to be what websites are going to be. Websites are going to be, instead of storefronts, they're going to literally be, we say that they're your, virtual salesperson, your virtual reception area. It's going to look like a receptionist or a salesperson that you are chatting with, and you can say, hey, show me or tell me about X, and it will answer specific company questions or stuff related to the brand. And that's another thing, is that you're going to have to think about, who is this character?
Right. who is this person? Who am I reflecting? So this, in a way, is already starting to be developed. My coach, Marisa Lowen, has built a chatbot into all of her back-end systems now. And what she's building now is the knowledge base. So if it has a knowledge base, the AI can now answer all of the questions for you. If it exists in the knowledge base, she doesn't even have to be there to answer the question. The AI will do that for her. And truly, I can't think of a more exciting prospect than to be able to get rid of some of the drudgery. So let's wrap up there. If AI isn't taking our jobs, which I think we all agree that it's only changing the shape of things.
Yeah.
How do we get rid of some of the more menial aspects of labor that people don't actually want to do? And Laura, I want to start with you.
Yeah, you look for the bottlenecks and the like literally what, if you're talking like on as an individual, you look for where the bottlenecks are. That's the stuff you have to wait on to get done. Whether it means like you're sending something over to an editor who's, trying to take care of it and sends it back to you. Well, let's have AI do most of the editing and then send it to the editor, because that'll take up less time for them too. And that means they can get more done. You also take a look at the tedious stuff that just kills a little bit of your soul every time you have to do it. Yeah. So Jonathan, you were talking about the time blocking. You have to do it, but sitting there looking at your calendar and figuring out, where am I going to make these time blocks and how am I going to fit these tasks around it? Well, AI can do that for you. The part that kills a little bit of my soul in my work as a content marketer is taking that blog post and turning it into a freaking LinkedIn post. I hate it. It's, at least creating the foundation of it. Like, just take it. Like, I would rather, people like, we'll copy and paste a section and then transform it, but that's still
it's
cognitive energy. So
you still have to make that decision of which section you're going to copy.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, I can just paste it into this machine and I can say, turn that into a LinkedIn post,
generate
it, please.
And then I can Alorify it. Once that piece is generated, I can layer on the human elements, whatever that needs to be. So those are the key areas that I would say: find the bottlenecks and find the tedious. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. Gwen, where do you see that happening in your part of the world?
As Laura said, the tedious parts, the stuff that is just doing that web copy, that sales copy, that repurposing stuff that I've already written. Once I've written it, I don't want to do it again and again and again and again. So I can just put it into the bot and have the bot turn it into something else. And it's still using my words, it's still using my ideas, it's still using my content, but I'm not having to deal with the same content over and over again, which is just absolute torture from my brain. It does not give me dopamine, it drains my dopamine.
Exactly. Yeah, interest-based, right? So if we're doing stuff that kills a bit of our soul, that means it's literally expending dopamine that we could be putting towards our hyper-focus moments where we're pouring our genius into something.
I can get an entire workbook done in a couple of days now. And these are notes that I have had sitting digitally for years, posts that have been on Facebook for years that I hashtagged, knowing I would use them later. So now I can go back to those hashtags, pull all those posts, copy paste them into ChatGPT and say, what can we do with this? What can we turn this into? Let's turn this into a workbook. Let's turn this into a course. Let's turn this into something. I did a whole Juno Monita money magic cookbook in a couple of days, a couple of weeks ago. I'm working on all sorts of stuff that's based on things that I've talked about for years, things that I've been trying to do and working on for years, but because my brain doesn't work in that very linear ordered fashion. It's kind of bouncing all over the place, smashing ideas together to see what sparks. Doing those outlines is torture for me. I can do
and
that,
very
but it's
soon
torture for me. It's terrible for me.
You're going to be able to plug that into PowerPoint and Canva and have it spit the workbook out for you entirely formatted with your branding already there, because they are doing the hard shit on the back end for you. Yeah, absolutely.
Canva already has stuff like that already.
Yeah.
They're already getting there, and it's wonderful, because like I could pull all of these notes that I've had, all of these posts I've had. The machine does the outlining for me. The machine rearranges everything in a very logical order. And it doesn't get annoyed with me when I'm asking it for changes. It doesn't get frustrated with me. And it actually surprises me how good it can be at inference with some of my quirky ways of phrasing things. When I tell people I'm a queer heretic nun, it kind of stutters their brain. And it's on purpose. I use that label on purpose to stutter their brains. But the bot instantly knew what I meant. The bot instantly knows what I'm talking about when I say this and this and this and this. And then it can expand from that. So I don't have to sit there and explain, well, this is what I mean by this. It just kind of rolls with it.
Yeah, Jonathan, what's coming?
So many things. I mean, in my part of the world, I'm really excited to see more people being able to have that space to think about how they want to work, and then the AI being able to help them do that and be able to actually go, so this is how my brain works, this is what I need, how would I do that? Okay, just do this. Here's what you do. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, cool. Here's what you can do. And that, for me, with everything that I do, it's all around helping people figure out the way that they work and then use that instead of this, I need to do this differently. I need to do that differently. I need to think differently. Being able to just think how you think and having results come through, that for me is exciting. That is just like...
Right, because it does the experimentation part for you. It runs those processes and it determines potential outcomes ahead of time, which allows you to just do the work.
Yeah, and it allows you to be... And there's no judgment either. It doesn't judge. It's just like, cool, this is what you can try instead. Cool, this is what you can try instead. And it's less about, oh, you should work one way, and more about, here are 15 different ways, and here are 3 that are going to fit you more. And being able to just have that capacity to pause just a little bit. I think that's the bit that I'm most excited about with what's coming.
Okay, so we're going to go the entire opposite direction. And we talked a little bit about the Writers Guild strike. And I shared a thread this morning from Justine Bateman, who is talking about the fact that very soon here, there will be AI models for every actor. And I consider, my husband and I were talking about this the other day. He's like, the bots are going to know everything about you. And I'm like, yeah, for me, that ship has sailed. I am on the internet every day. My voice, my face, it's already there. You could already create an image of me and deep fake me doing anything you wanted, saying anything you wanted, because I have already put enough data out there to make that possible. So with that said, what potentially do we see coming that we aren't going to like so much?
The deep fakes, the hoaxes. I actually had a set of Midjourney images that I rendered that are being used as, oh, this is real. And it's not, definitely.
Oh, the
not
cat
real.
parade. I'd forgotten all about the cat parade. She rendered cats on parade, and people are like, this is right. This is real.
Cats lined up with harnesses and leashes. All
never would happen.
No, this is not real. This is
well,
that really kind of made me pause. And I like conceptually knew that this was going to happen at some point. People are going to use this to fake. People are going to be convinced this is real. My hope is that people will develop more discernment and more pause with what they see online. They won't assume that it's real. That's my hope.
Because I remember
that's what's going to happen.
Right.
But here's the other. Go ahead.
Well, let me just say, because when Gwen shared that and it got taken as a real thing, she's like, there were several posts. Hey, I made this. This is fake. People did not
confirmation bias.
Right.
People would get pissed. I'd have friends that would tag me in posts where they'd say, this is fake. My friend made these. And the people would get, well, why can't you just let us enjoy something?
And then, so you've got the confirmation bias, right? So this is, it's real because I say it is because I want it to be. And then you're also going to have the gaslighting of that's not real. That's AI. No, that didn't really happen. We have
and that's actually happened.
And again, human cost, human society cost. You know, we have uprisings as a result of being able to witness injustice on the streets of our cities, and there has been not enough, but there has been social change as a result of being able to, broadcast digitally information. And now we're going to have naysayers and gaslighters saying, "Nuh-uh, that didn't really happen. That cop isn't beating that person. That's fake. That's AI.
That's AI."
Right.
And we have seen that happen early on with the renderings. A few months ago, someone on Reddit was accused of having made an AI image, but it wasn't AI. It was real. It was
and there's also an influencer on TikTok who speaks the truth to power. And she is a Black woman and she is beautiful. And already people are saying she's not real. She is AI.
Yeah, they're convinced she's AI. I know who you're talking. I can't think of her name, but I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah,
so that's what I fear.
Like I said, my hope is that it will encourage people to be more discerning, but the reality is people get upset and that confirmation bias.
It is going to
I think the newest one is a little baby peacock.
Oh yeah, I saw the little baby peacock.
It's going to make more jobs in that there's going to be a need for fact checkers and verifiers.
Right.
Big time. And also it's going to demand, and hopefully there will be some kind of regulatory body that says, if you are publishing content to the internet, it must be verified, or there must be some kind of disclaimer that you have used a certain percentage of artificial intelligence to generate that content.
Yeah, I'll be honest. My fear, especially here in the dystopian United States, that we're never going to catch up legislatively, that we will not be able to enact laws as fast as these changes are being made.
No,
I just don't think it's going to happen. And so it's going to require us, right? That's what it takes. If we do not have a regulatory body, if what we have is open source and creator made, then we have to figure out together how to make that work.
And and support companies and products that make ethical choices.
Yes.
So again, if public adoption becomes mainstream, and then you put pressure on the companies and the corporations to do the right thing. So if we have a movement of people are saying, hey, this is 80% AI generated, there's no judgment there. It's just saying this is 80% AI generated versus this is 100% human generated, or this has been verified by X and X source, and you make that the standard, then you have become a mainstream adoption process that we can demand companies follow as well.
All right, y'all. I did not mean to click on that. I meant to delete that. But it's not on mine. I believe that's on Jonathan's. So when you're done, Jonathan, you can... AI is going to kill all the druggies first. I mean,
Not sure where the logical leap is.
Right. I'm not sure how we made it to that point of connection. But yes. All right, y'all. I think we have a lot of places that we are going to be able to go. And I think that there are really great avenues to make that happen. And I would like for people to be able to connect with the three of you outside of this space if they would like to attach their networks to yours. So, Jonathan, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me mainly on simplicity-specialist.com. That's my website where you can find out all about what I do. And I am on most of the platforms. Just search Simplicity Specialist and you'll find me. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those places.
Fabulous.
Send me an email.
Thank you. Gwen, where can they find you?
You can find me at thecurioushermit.com and mostly on Facebook. I am basically the hermit who lives on Facebook. Gwen Michelle on Facebook. 1 L in Michelle, not 2. Michele. I'm on there all the time. I do a lot on Facebook. I have a nice little community on Facebook that's been supporting me for a few years now.
Power of networks, truly. When they're built correctly, they can do incredible things.
Been surviving on a pay-what-you-can completely donation basis since 2019. Bought my house that way. The whole even got a billionaire to donate $1,000 towards buying my house. That was cool.
Alora, where can we find you?
I'll be all businessy for a second here. Come follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look up my name, Alora Weaver. Follow my company's page, Writer, because there's a reason why I work for this AI company as opposed to some others. And it's because there is a very thoughtful, intentional approach to AI development and listening to people's needs and focusing on where we can do some good while also focusing on the practical aspects and business benefits of AI at an enterprise level. So come follow me there on LinkedIn. Also come check out our blog, writer.com/blog. And we have tons of information and resources that you can use about generative AI. Oh, also, sorry. We have a LinkedIn community, or I'm sorry, a Slack community.
Ooh.
It's called Active Voice.
Okay.
So writer.com/community, check it out and come join us.
Y'all, this was great. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all in cyberspace. We will see you probably in about 4 months. And,
probably.
We'll see what happens between now and then.
I will be replaced by then. You'll be talking to an AI version of me.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Bye, y'all.
Bye.